This is BCNN, the Beacon City News Network. Real news for real citizens. Our top story tonight, super terrorist Matthew Arnold, who, along with his fiancée Elaina Dare, is responsible for the mass murder of thousands of Beacon City police, insurance agents, and civilians in the cowardly bombing of the insurance district 3 months ago, has been captured. Arnold, who's been masquerading as Beacon City's famed brass lantern since the end of the war, was apprehended after peace officers discovered a secret floor inside the Luxern building. Officers found Arnold living in a luxury apartment stocked with a private arsenal of weapons, including several of the brass masks he's been using to fool the people of Beacon into believing he's the immortal bright knight of the city. Acting Mayor Tom Heller has ordered swift justice for the victims of Arnold's atrocities. He is not only seeking the death penalty, but a reinstatement of a practice not seen in Beacon for over a half-century: public execution by firing squad. I know this news announcer will sleep soundly tonight knowing that Arnold is off the streets. His murderous fiancée, however, remains at large.
The brass lantern. His justice is not blind, it's blinding. A beacon of justice for the poor, the oppressed, and the uninsured. Evildoers don't fear the dark, they fear the light of the brass lantern. The Adventure, Satan's Samaritan. The events and characters depicted in this audio play are fictitious. Any similarity to any actual person, living or dead, is purely coincidental.
So you're this Duke Bandy character I've been hearing so much about.
And you're Redwood Burl, former crime lord of Beacon.
Ain't nothing former about me, friend.
So, you're not paying out 60% to the city peace officers like everyone else? Tom Heller runs this city now. Only he does it legally, or so it's meant to appear.
Listen, Duke, you got a reputation. That's the only reason you were able to walk through that door for this meeting. But your claim to fame of fighting the brass lantern to a standstill was a lot more impressive before he was exposed as a fraud. And he still managed to give you that nasty scar on your face.
So you don't want my intel?
Well, you're here, aren't you? Just don't get too cute, or you'll find out just how much power I still have.
I've got a defector, one of Heller's soldiers, a man named Fallon. He was there that day at the insurance district. He claims Matthew Arnold was framed, and that Heller was behind the attack.
Who cares if he was framed? That trigger-happy murderer put dozens of my men in the ground. Men with families. Children that I've had to support. And support them I have. Because I may be a crook, but my men are family. And whoever really pulled that job, they got rid of the biggest crooks of all, you ask me. Private cops working for the insurance agencies. And they call us organized crime.
This man Fallon says Heller was behind the whole thing. And not only that, he was working behind the scenes with John Countryman on that diner job to help set the whole thing up.
I don't know what you've been drinking, pal. But in order to do all that, Heller would have had to control the mayor, all of City Hall. Hell, probably even the governor's office. He'd have had to control the insurance execs.
He was in control of all of it. Remember the riots that preceded the bombing? Those zombie mobs that tore a bloody path from the weeds to the insurance district? Drugged and mind-controlled by Heller.
What, like hypnosis?
My man Fallon says Heller's a telepath.
Ain't that a nature doctor?
Simply put, he has the power to influence people's minds.
Sell it to the pulp magazines, Duke. I ain't buying.
You want proof?
No. The word of a complete stranger is good enough for me.
Come on in, Mr. Mayor.
Would someone please tell me what in God's green earth is going on?
Is that...
Our former mayor, Fossil Brinkerhoff.
He hasn't been seen since he resigned in disgrace and left Heller in charge of his office.
I found him selling hot dogs from a pushcart in the weeds.
Why would the former mayor of Beacon City be selling wieners in the weeds?
Because until I burned him with a hot poker, he had no idea who he was.
Someone get Miss Roundtree on the phone. She's my secretary. She'll know my schedule. She'll know where I'm supposed to be.
All right, Duke. You've caught my interest. Now what is it you want? Don't tell me you're just some good Samaritan looking out for my business interests.
Heller's peace officers are worse than the insurance cops ever were. You want to really be in charge of this city? Give me 50 men.
To do what with?
Free Matthew Arnold from prison, force him to cooperate, and use his money, resources, and agents to kill that bastard Heller.
Well, good luck with that, pal. You're a known criminal. The Brass Lantern, Matthew Arnold, whoever he is, he'll just turn around and kill you.
Matthew Arnold may have been a phony Brass Lantern, but he was a genuine soldier and a military tactician, the enemy of my enemy. And there are over 100 former Beacon City police officers being held in the prison as well, survivors of the insurance district bombings.
You'll free them, too?
That's the plan. Then we'll have a proper army of our own, and a chance, just a chance, to beat Tom Heller.
Then what? We just go back to status quo? Put the corporations back in charge?
Weren't your profits so much higher under the old system? You're running out of money, Red. You're running out of power.
50 men, eh?
50 men.
I'll make a few phone calls. See what I can do.
Man, I know these new radio phones have a lot farther range than a regular walkie-talkie, but them being on all the time makes me nervous.
Worried that the boss is listening?
Nah, I mean, I don't like the idea of having this little box that's always listening to me. It's creepy. I like a little privacy.
Did you have any privacy in prison? Because that's where we would both be right now if Hella hadn't fixed it so all of us felons are now city peace officers. Face it, Benny, we got it made. If that means someone's always listening in, well, only the guilty have something to hide.
I still don't know how the boss managed to pull all this off. Blackmail or something must be. He must have a lot of dirt on a whole lot of people. Probably from these damn boxes.
If I were you, I'd be more worried about the Brass Lantern, who's been leaving our corpses all over the city.
I thought that Arnold guy was supposed to be the lantern.
He was a lantern. We have a new one now. And if you ask me, this one's worse. The old one would at least let you live if you surrendered. This one takes no prisoners.
Oh, God. You had to say something. You had to jinx us.
I can't see anything. Help! Anyone listening? We need backup now on the corner of...
You better not have made me put a hole in that uniform.
Oh, God, don't kill me, please. I ain't done nothing. I just wanted to get out of prison, walk around again. I ain't a bad guy.
Do exactly as I say, or you will never walk anywhere again.
Yeah, okay. You got it. My partner is she...
I didn't need her. Only her uniform. Be glad that I need you. For now.
Sure, yes. Of course. Anything you want, anything you say.
You're going back to prison. And you're taking me with you. If you follow my instructions, you'll remain there as a prisoner once more. If you try anything at all, you'll remain there as a corpse.
Here he is, sir. The beacon of justice. Looks a little low on batteries.
I'll take it from here, Warden.
But I like to watch.
This isn't your old brothel, Miss Flowers. Besides, I'm not going to do anything interesting to Mr. Arnold. Just a chat. Leave the cuffs on him, though. I'm not much of a fighter.
Well, my radio phone is always on. Just call if you want backup.
Matthew Arnold. I'm not a mind reader, you know. I get feelings, impressions. I can sense people. And right now I can sense that you're broken. I've got to say, it's disappointing.
I was born to privilege, Mr. Heller. I could have done so much more good for the world, but there was a darkness inside me that I just couldn't defeat. My legacy was supposed to make the city bright. I wasn't bright enough.
You did your best. I have nothing personal against you. It's your fiancée I want. It's clear that she's the special one, not you. I sensed it in her. A power that pulled at something inside of me, a power I want.
You think Elaina Dare will come for me? I'm afraid you'll be disappointed.
Oh, she won't disappoint me. You see, I found a disoriented blind beggar wandering the streets soon after your failed attempt to apprehend me. He didn't know who he was. Someone had raped his mind. Someone with psychic power well beyond my parlor tricks. And with a little prodding and a few cups of grindhouse coffee, I was able to restore that beggar to some semblance of his former glory. I even restored his sight. Turns out the blindness was psychological. He had a tale to tell about a girl rising from the dead in a blinding flash of light, of an otherworldly voice, a voice generations of Beacon's criminals once knew as the Brass Lantern.
Drugs will rot your brain, Heller. I think you've had too much of your own medicine.
I don't sense any of the fight in you I once did. Frankly, you make me sad, Mr. Arnold. You really were just a thrill killer. A rich man hunting the most dangerous game. Until I changed the game.
You flatter yourself, Heller, because no one else will, unless you force them to.
Your public execution is set for noon tomorrow. Someone will come for you. I'm betting that someone is your fiancée, who I suspect has been leaving the bodies of my officers in alleyways all over the city. I'm not going to drug you. I'm not going to nudge you or prod you. I want your mind clear, so that when I free the real Brass Lantern from the trappings of Elaina Dare, you'll know your failure is complete. I'm going to steal your light from you forever.
Men are getting anxious, Duke. They want to know why you've had them camped out in the woods near the prison with no radios, eating nothing but sea rations.
You know why, Fallon. Tom Heller has some sort of natural psychic ability, but his powers are limited. He's using drugs and subliminal radio messages to strengthen his hold over the city. With every broadcast listened to, every drugged coffee consumed, he strengthens his control. And with those radio phones his obscenely named peace officers carry, he practically has the whole city bugged.
You really think getting Arnold and these cops out of lockup will make a difference?
I asked Redwood Burl, the most powerful gangster in Beacon, for 50 men. I got 43. Not enough to take on Heller.
You're the boss. What do I tell the men?
They've got 118 guards rotating 8-hour shifts at 3, 11, and 7. We go at 0200. There won't be any extra guards meandering around mid-shift. We set up an L-shaped ambush at the south and west walls. Space the men 10 meters apart. The breach team will place the nitro. We breach 2 walls. One for suppression, one for extraction.
We worrying about taking prisoners?
We're worrying about freeing prisoners. With any luck, Heller himself is in there tonight. Arnold's execution is set for 12 noon. He'll be expecting a rescue attempt, but he's not expecting me.
Tell me, Arnold, how does it feel?
John Countryman, why don't you just die?
But I have, Mr. Arnold. I have died. Once by your hand, if you recall, and once by something I can't begin to comprehend.
Let me out of these chains. I'll see if I can make it stick this time.
I used to give such grand speeches. It's the preacher in me, the showman. I suppose I am giving one now. I just can't help it. You were a man born with everything. I born with nothing. I fought every day to make myself into someone who could bring down the corrupt system you're so keen to defend. And you, all this time, you were a fraud, just as I always said you were.
Does Heller know you're off your leash? Forget to feed you your coffee, did he?
I will deal with Tom Heller soon enough. But right now, I am here for you.
I'm scheduled to die in a few hours. If you keep talking, I must request they speed it up.
That's why I am here, Arnold. It has to be me, the one who takes your life. I hate you. That means you are important to me. You matter to me. You affect me. That's something I would only admit to a dead man. Why are you smiling? Don't you understand? I've won. You're broken, in chains. And I am going to crush the life from you with my bare hands.
You're just giving me something I've wanted for a long time, Countryman. But I warn you, you'll not get the satisfaction you're imagining.
I don't see you glowing, Arnold. No coming back for you. I'll let Heller deal with a real brass lantern, and then I'll crush him too. If there is a hell, I will see you again.
Glad to see you were able to leave one alive, Elaina.
You gotta help me. She's crazy. I don't want to die.
How do I look, Mal?
Like one of them. But the peace officer you found is clearly unhinged. You trust him to get you inside?
He knows what's at stake.
You know, Elaina, the brass lantern is immortal, but you're not.
Don't, Mal. Not now. Not while Matt needs me. Not while the whole city needs me. You were lucky to have survived the blast. Lucky to have been able to land the Gyrodyne and walk away with your life. Thousands of others weren't so fortunate.
You don't have to tell me, Elaina. It's just that this change in you. You're so...
Willing to do what it takes to rid this city of crime and corruption once and for all. Matthew Arnold was willing to put his life on the line for this city. I can do no less.
Fine, but when this is all over and Heller is dead, I want answers. I'm a detective, remember? Matt may or may not be the brass lantern, but you are clearly connected somehow.
That conversation can wait. Right now, I'm the brass lantern. Right now, it's on me.
The brass lantern is a beacon of justice, Elaina, not vengeance.
You can't judge me, detective. History will do that. All I need you to do is to take the car and wait for all hell to break loose. Once those cops start coming out, you need to direct them to the rally point.
I will do my job, Elaina.
And I'll do mine. Come on, Benny. Let's make some history.
All right, men. You know the plan. Breach teams will move into position. The rest of you, stick to your assigned sectors of fire and acquire only the targets within those sectors. Once the charge on the south wall is detonated, do not engage. There will be a delay of 45 seconds until the second charge is detonated at the west wall. The west wall team will lay down a mad minute of fire with accurate and lethal target acquisition. South wall is non-firing. Fallon and I will insert ourselves into the prison and liberate the assets. Southside men will pair up while the west is slowing suppression. Once we have our men, we'll meet up with the south team and make our way to the vehicles, moving quickly, but with situational awareness. We will rendezvous at the rally point. Any questions?
Yeah, I got a question. Why are we doing this all for the son of a bitch who put so many of our men into the ground? And for a bunch of cops who just as soon to see us all rot in there like they are now?
Because we need them. Because Tom Heller is a threat to our entire way of life. He has an entire police force of former criminals at his command. He has control of the mayor's office and influence at the governor's office. I was no fan of the insurance companies, but their police weren't muscling in on our profits. It wasn't the best system, but it was far better than tyranny.
Yeah, what have I got to lose? Let's do this.
You heard the man, Fallon. Send in the breach teams, and pray we can pull this off.
Matthew Arnold is dead. John Countryman is back. All hope seems lost. Will Duke Bandy and eventual Elaina Dare be enough to defeat Tom Heller and his hold over Beacon City? We now bring you their senses-shattering conclusion to Satan's Samaritan.
Sir?
I can hear Miss Flowers. The rescue attempt. It's begun.
No, sir. I mean, it's Arnold, sir.
What is it? What happened?
He's dead, sir. In his cell. His throat has been crushed.
Countryman. I knew he'd betray me. I just didn't expect... It doesn't matter. No one else knows Arnold is dead. They're coming for him, just as I anticipated.
Sir, the cell doors, they're all opening.
South and west walls. Breach. Heavy fire. West.
What? How did they get inside already? It seems Miss Dare is even more resourceful than I thought.
How do you know it's her?
I feel it. Like an ice cube at the back of my neck. She's here. I may not be able to control her mind, but I'll bet all our lives I can break it.
Fallon!
Got my leg. I'll stay and hold him off, boss.
Don't be crazy, man. It's suicide.
A man can't control when his time comes. Just how he faces it.
You're a good man, Fallon.
Go. I got you covered. Just promise me. You'll make it count.
You have my word. Tom Heller dies tonight.
Please let me go. I got you inside. We sprung the police. I don't want to die here.
You wrote your obituary the day you sided with Tom Heller. But go on. Run. It's not going to matter much longer anyway.
Elaina Dare. Only you could make me feel so cold.
Nice of you to step right into my line of fire, Heller. I owe you one to the head.
You'll find I'm not that easy to kill.
What are you doing to me?
These radio phones, they're everywhere. All the guards have them. All my peace officers. They emit a tone. One that renders the listener more susceptible to my telepathy. Kind of like a nice cup of grindhouse coffee. Something funny, Miss Dare? Your fiancé is dead. Your little rescue mission is for nothing. and I have you right where I want you. I may not be able to control you, but I can hurt you. And if I hurt you enough, I'm betting that angel of death inside of you will come out to play.
Cops are all clear.
Cops are all clear? What does that mean?
It means it's just us here, Heller. It means that I can send you and your damned army straight to hell!
It's Arnold, but how? You're dead!
And Countryman will pay for it. The man you captured, the man he murdered, that was the real Matthew Arnold, heir to the Luxon fortune, the man whose face I wear under this makeup.
The real Matthew Arnold.
I wasn't just pretending to be the Brass Lantern, Heller. Since the war, I have masqueraded as Matthew Arnold. Before that, I was no one. Then the war broke out. I tried to enlist, but the army wouldn't have me. I wanted to fight. That's all I've ever wanted to do. Matthew Arnold, he was looking for a way out of the draft. And so...
You took his place in the war.
And after. I looked enough like him before. And when you have enough money to pay off the best surgeons...
Then all of this...
Matt, my Matt, needed time. Needed you to think you'd won.
Mr. Arnold has been looking for redemption. Redemption from the guilt he felt in cheating the horrors of war. I have been a part of that redemption. And he has died a hero.
You haven't beaten me yet.
Haven't I? Those radio phones you and all of your men have. They have turned Beacon City into a surveillance state. They've enabled you to extend your mental reach beyond your limited natural powers. And they were manufactured by a subsidiary of Luxon, based on an experimental mobile telephone I've been using for months.
So, you've been listening in on me, is that it?
Knowledge is power, Mr. Heller, and lack of it can be fatal. For unbeknownst to you, each of your radio phones doubles as an explosive device. I needed your captives free and clear of your men before I detonated.
No, you couldn't have.
Goodbye, Mr. Heller. Give Matthew Arnold my regards, for you're about to meet him once again!
No, you could...
Elaina, are you...
I'm all right.
The frequency on my transmitter was limited to the area of the prison. I couldn't risk the blast harming any innocents. Heller's men in Beacon are still at large.
I'm sorry about Arnold. I know he was important to you.
He was a complicated man. Others might judge him a coward, but whatever he was the last living person to know my true identity. I keep that even from you, Elaina.
You've always been Matthew Arnold to me. And now you're the only...
You animals! If my radio phone hadn't been on my desk instead of on my belt, you've won nothing. Do you hear me? Nothing!
Elaina! No! What have you done? Elaina! No. Dear God, no!
Who dares to face the light that burns away all darkness?
Her father was right. A piece of it has been inside her all along. Soon, it will corrupt her, turn her to evil.
Who dares to face the immortal Brass Lantern?
The Brass Lantern was created by A.G. Devitt, directed and produced by Matt Powers and Lift Theater, with sound direction by Matt Powers and music by Oscar Stavala. Technical consultant, Nick Ciccarelli. Cover art by Mikey Wood. Cast: A.G. Devitt as Matthew Arnold and Duke Bandy. Laura Powers as Elaina Dare. Blake Pitcher as Mayor Brinkerhoff and Goon. Andrew Urbanek as Tom Heller. Bob Gassman as Redwood Burl. Alex Stolzer as Detective Maldonado. Don Shipman as The Broadcaster. Matt Powers as Benny and God. Aaron Lowry as Tabitha and Warden Flowers. And C.T. Avis as John Countryman, Fallon, and your narrator. Join us for our next episode when we'll be traveling back in time to the origin of the brass lantern in Prelude to Perdition.
The Brass Lantern would like to extend special thanks to Jane Mallon and the Mohawk Valley Center for the Arts.
This project is made possible with funds from the Decentralization Program, a re-grant program of the New York State Council on the Arts with the support of Governor Andrew Cuomo and the New York State Legislature, and administered by CNY Arts.